Hey, welcome back to the Fisk podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And this episode 470, Daredevil and the Not So Superman. The sunlight, it burns me. It's so hot. Oh. Anyway.
Yes.
Before we get into all of that, how are you?
Doing very well. It's hump day. Just finished a nice show on, as we were talking about The Bondsman, which we'll be talking about next week.
Absolutely.
Nice little Brimstone 20 years later type show.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah. Brimstone,
27, because Brimstone was 98, wasn't it?
Yeah. God, Brimstone was so good. And it has almost as many episodes as Brimstone. After one season. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we're recording on Wednesday. I was supposed to have a haircut yesterday and I didn't have it. So.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
So you're still like,
I'm still mulleted.
Still wild man?
Yeah.
That's wild man mullet?
I know, but it hit like another phase where it like looks like it's easy to like style now. And it's like, maybe I should cancel that
hit another
next
phase.
week. But no. So we're gonna record next Wednesday too, so we can talk about the finale of Daredevil anyway. But no, I ended up just hanging out with Haley last night, which was great. So,
okay.
It was a nice little evening with my daughter.
Did you tell her about Lazarus?
Oh yeah, I showed her. Like she hasn't watched it yet, so I was actually surprised she didn't watch it. But we'll see. But yeah, so what happened to Duke in the tournament? Like it seemed like they just kind of like choked that game away.
So this is a funny thing about that game. Watching the game, and I was so tired, and it was watching the second half. And I think it was like 9 or 8 minutes left or something. And they were up 14. Fell asleep.
Yeah.
I wake up and it's 25 seconds left in the game and they're only up 3. I'm like, what? And then from there they just collapsed. They absolutely collapsed.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. The other thing too is on Monday, Houston did the same thing pretty much. But I was watching Raw. And I fell asleep during the right before everything got going with Seth and Paul Heyman. So I saw the beginning of it and just kind of dozed off for 2-3 minutes, right? Because it wasn't a very long statement. And I woke up to watching him curb stomp CM Punk and then tell Paul. And I was like, am I dreaming? Is this a dream? Did CM Punk just got his face smashed into the mat because he sucks? Yes. So, and then I went on Reddit the next day and caused just a whole bunch of trouble on internet wrestling where one of the things was who's the most overrated wrestler? And obviously I put CM Punk and some kid they genuinely replied. He's like, I've only known him since he's been back. I didn't ever watch him before. And yeah, I totally agree. And then I left a comment. I was like, yeah, his first run, Ring of Honor, ECW, WWE, fantastic. He comes back to AEW and he sucks, and it's so that one got majorly downvoted, which made me laugh. But then a bunch of people came to my defense. So it was fine. But it was just look, any chance I get to bash CM Punk, I do.
Yes. Again, you can say he's overrated, underrated, whatever, but you can't. If you know anything about wrestling, if you've seen him even one match from 15 years ago, say he's anything close to what he used to be. And that includes on the mic too.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I will say that I actually because I liked him back in the day.
I loved him.
I thought he was fun.
He was one of my favorites.
And then when he came into AEW, I was like, okay, here we go. And then he showed up who he was.
Yep.
That's why I don't like it. It has nothing to do with not liking him from back in the past, because that's how things change. When people change or they show you who they are, you change your opinion of them.
Absolutely. So
And it doesn't help that he is trash in the ring right now. I mean, he is bad.
I will say
I mean, he's
this,
still
though.
good on the mic,
Can
but
we
he's
just
not good on the ring.
Can we just appreciate that Seth Rollins might become a Paul Heyman guy and have Paul as his like manager? And how cool would that be, the two of them?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know I
Yeah, I
wanted
really
it
like
until
that.
I saw somebody post about it and I was like, say less.
Yeah. I really like that exchange. It's like, just a stomp to the head, and you won't have to worry about any of
He was just like, I can take you out right now. It'll be okay. Yeah, that was great. And then what was the other thing? Oh, so we're both pretty active, like sending each other messages on Instagram. Have you seen this Detroit Kavi guy, Detroit.Kavi with
Who?
with the urns?
No, I have not.
Okay, it's this black dude. He's from Detroit. And so I think this is fake, but he had Matt Barnes in one of his videos, like NBA Matt Barnes.
Yeah.
And like the whole thing is like his baby mama was supposed to buy his kid some shoes and she didn't. So her new boyfriend's mom died and they couldn't like cremate her. So he paid to get her cremated and buy an urn. And then like he did the same thing when her dad died and then when her aunt died. And so now he's like collecting all these urns and like talking about it on the internet. It's just like, it can't possibly be real, but it is like, I'm like, when's the next one coming out? Like, because it just makes me laugh. It's just, they're hilarious. But yeah, it's at Detroit.Kavi, Kavi on Instagram. Like, it's totally worth checking out. It's just so funny. But he's like, did you buy him his shoes? And she's like, it's not about his shoes. And he's like, well, then I'm going to do this. And like, it's just, it can't be real. But if it's real, I'm here for it. That's what I'm saying. It's my kind of, what he's doing is my kind of chaos 100% of the time. So, but yeah. All right. You want to get to it?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to talk about Superman Legacy, first. And, so let's, do you have the trailer? If you just click on the link in the show notes, actually, you can pull the trailer up, but let's kind of like I'm gonna turn the sound down, and let's just kind of walk through this because it's only 4 minutes. Like there's a bunch of like extra stuff at the end, but the actual trailer itself is only 4 minutes ish.
Right.
So all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start it, and it opens with the Arctic, that classic Richard Donner landscape for Superman, and then he crashes into the to the snow. And when
terrible suit, by the way.
Terrible suit. When the dust clears, he's like, I'm dying. But like the suit looks so bad in motion. Like, you know how I am. I like to wait until I see it before I really, really like start to bash it. It does not fit him. Anyway, so this trailer opens and he's just got like blood pouring from his mouth and he whistles for Crypto, which we saw already in the previous preview. And it's like he's just like laying there like a lump. Like, you're in sunlight, homie. But then the Flurkin comes running. I'm sorry. The dog comes running at him. And,
Crypto's a dick, man.
Dude starts jumping on him like, what's up? Oh, hey, look, you're all busted up. Cool. And he's like, it's like, what is happening to Superman? And why does he kick Crypto? But then like Crypto's just like, I want to play. It's time to play. Let's go. And I wish they did a real dog for the non superhero stuff for Crypto, because he has zero like weight on screen. Like he doesn't look like he's in everything. He just looks like he's on everything for the most part.
Yeah. It's like with video games, it's like you say, okay, this feels like you feel the weight of this movement, or versus it feels like you're floating when you're doing this. And that's how he feels. He doesn't again, we know he's not. It's not about knowing that he's real, but like, and again, I'm going to compare it to Thanos.
Yeah.
Everything Thanos did, the effects gave him weight.
Oh yeah. So
And
like, think of I mean, don't really think about it, but like during The Last Jedi, there's the scene where Luke is walking across the sands of Crate and he's not leaving any footprints, right? Which was for
right,
good reason. It's like that. Like, and like that wasn't bad CGI. That was actually a fucking amazing moment in a horrible movie
yes,
with a dickbag actor. But like this is just not great. So then Crypto is dragging him across the Arctic to, again, the Richard Donner style Fortress of Solitude. At some point, we have to move beyond this with Superman and start getting some new looks and feels to what this is. And then Crypto barks and opens the door. And he's just dragging him around. Superman robot number 4 comes up. Oh my God, Superman, what's happening?
yeah. I will say this. I don't mind. I understand what you're saying about getting away from the Donner and creating a new thing. I don't. I actually, that's one of the few things I don't mind about this is
It's just every single one of them has
get
been,
that Fortress of Solitude. Yeah.
But the Fortress of Solitude could be just like a hole in a mountain where he made a base.
Yeah. I really like, again, going back to my favorite iteration, Superman and Lois, I really like how Tal Rose was in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
I thought that was
pretty
really cool.
So,
Yeah.
I will say I really like the Superman robots. That's something from like Superman. I mean, the Superman or not Legacy, the All-Star Superman robots were really cool. And they have that kind of like look and feel to them. But they pick him up, like they're playing stiff as a board, light as a feather with him, and they're like, hey, what's going on? Why we have no consciousness? We're just automatons. We're kind of like slaves. Me 12, she's new. Okay, why does a robot have to have a gender?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then he's badly damaged, like lungs, kidneys, bones. And so he needs a healthy dose of yellow stun. So what do? They turn the whole fortress towards the sun. See, this is the problem with not having windows. And then they decide they're going to like treat him like an ant with a psycho little kid in a magnifying glass. But he's like groaning and like whining and yelling about the sunlight. And it's like, homie, this is how you get your power.
Yeah. And
and the suit looks so bad every time he
it
moves.
looks so bad.
So bad.
It is bad, man. The fact that you have a WB show that had a superior suit than a $200+ million production.
Right.
I mean, that's embarrassing.
Oh yeah.
And again, I don't know what the movie's going to be again. We've talked about our
production
reservation.
budget's only going to be 200 because like they have reined DC in, like no more like 250, no more like massive, budgets, that kind of thing. So we'll see what they do here, but it's one of those things.
So I was, and again, there's a bigger issue than the clip, and the clip is actually a microcosm of this, small, example of what this could be. So, one of the things that people didn't like about the original, or not the original, but Man of Steel, other than was Superman himself, was Clark himself. He was very almost emo type guy, Superman, in the sense of didn't smile a lot. He was troubled. All this stuff. And this is supposed to be a reawakening of Superman in the sense of him being, that light, a beacon of light in the sky. And I was watching the Tyrone Magnus watched this, or, he was talking about the article that I sent about, Superman whining. And he made a very good point, and I didn't even think about it. And, I kind of watched the previous trailers. They don't show him really smiling at all. And it's always a pensive look. It's always he's broken and battered. Yes, they do show him kissing Lois when they're floating in the sky.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
who's
that's
not going to want to
but
kiss Rachel
yeah,
Brosnan? You know?
but so, and again, these are just, yes, these are just clips and trailers. So who knows what's in the movie? But if you're trying to sell us, again, trailers, it's about selling. If you're trying to sell us, this is the Superman, truth, justice, the American way. He's the beacon of hope, the ideal of hope, as Jarrell said in Man of Steel. Why aren't we showing him smiling? Why aren't we showing him, not just saving people, but giving people that hope, giving just a little clip of a scene, like, him talking to a kid smiling or something like that. We have not seen. Now, they might do that in the second trailer.
Who
That
knows?
should, who knows? But I thought Magnus made a very interesting point with that. It's supposed to be the new Superman in the sense of returning back to his roots, and you don't see him smile.
Right.
So I want this movie to be good. I like James Gunn a lot as a director for the most part,
Yeah.
but my reservations, I'm very concerned that he does not, especially watching this clip right here, this crypto clip, for example, that's James Gunn humor. Probably shouldn't be in Superman. Didn't need to be in
Right.
Superman.
Right.
That, at least that scene itself, it takes away that. I love the original trailer, the first trailer for this, where you just see Crypto, start dragging him.
Yeah. That was fine, but like seeing
that
it
was
like
fine.
this, it was just like, come on. This
Like,
is
so you're telling me this
Superman.
dog, this super dog, is not smart enough to see that his owner, friend, master, whatever you want to call it, is just broken and battered?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that?
So, all right, let's hop over to this article that we have linked in here. It's from the Hollywood
Yeah.
Reporter. James Gunn's new Superman footage divides internet. Superman doesn't whine. And the subtitle is great. Like, this definitely had to be written by someone who's as snarky as we are, or our trained ChatGPT at this point. Do you believe a man can writhe? The filmmaker's vulnerable take on Man of Steel provokes debate. Like, this is something that, okay. Over the weekend, I decided to train ChatGPT to help me write some scripts for shorts on YouTube, which I have started doing. I have not implemented any of those yet. Be on the lookout for that. But that is the exact kind of thing it would write. And it would say that I said it. And so it makes me laugh. But anyway, okay. So this article, Up, and R. Footage from DC Studios' highly anticipated revival of Superman is dividing fans of the iconic DC Comics character after a 5-minute clip, of the upcoming film Below was released last Thursday, 6 days ago. And I can't believe it was 6 days ago. It feels like 10 years ago. The video depicted a suffering Man of Steel being assisted by his dog and squadron of robots. The film, from writer-director James Gunn, who is also co-chief of DC Studios, this is important, is considered a critical make-or-break movie for the studio, which is heavily reliant on the July 11th release to help launch a new generation of superhero titles. Some degree of social media snark about the superhero-related film is to be expected, especially if a filmmaker is taking some risks with material, as Gunn clearly is. The Guardians of the Galaxy director is shifting Superman into lighter territory following the glum core aesthetic of director Zack Snyder's take on the hero in films such as 2013's Man of Steel. All right. Then they go on to talk about the clip, and we'll get more into that. Here's the thing. Guardians of the Galaxy was a super niche film. It was a super niche superhero set that very few people knew who the Guardians were before they hit the big screen, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Superman's the most recognizable hero in the world.
In the world.
Maybe even the galaxy. There's probably life on other planets, and they're like, the John Byrne Man of Steel is the superior Superman origin story. Like, they have that conversation too. What?
Is a definitive edition of Superman.
They're like, this is Superman. Like, like the redefining of Superman in the 80s by John Byrne was the way to go. Anyway, but talking about this, like where was the lighter territory? You said it yourself before. There was no smiling in this clip. There was no joy. There was no whimsy. When we've seen him fly, he's like wincing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, explain to me where they might have found some quote lighter territory. And Glumcore, fuck you.
I find it funny you mentioned the flight thing, because that was the one thing that Man of Steel, where they showcased his absolute joy, is when he flew for the first time. That was the one time in that movie where it was like, okay, this is a Superman that's light, that doesn't have, that doesn't have all these, the doldrums of, I'm an alien from another planet, that I could destroy this planet, and should I help or hurt people, or, help or ignore people?
Right.
And again, look, this could be filled with whimsy. It absolutely could.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I just, and like the article said, this movie can't be just decent. It can't.
No. This has to be a groundbreaking Superman movie.
Yes.
All right.
Or else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some of these reactions, because like they scoured Reddit, obviously. Online reactions have been pretty strong, and apparently comes down to two factors. Do you want a Superman who's more impervious and godlike, or one who's more human and vulnerable? Do you want a Superman movie that takes itself quite seriously, or one that's more comedic? I don't think this is so funny. Like, these people who don't understand like things that are supposed to be a binary. This is not an either or. He can be impervious and godlike and still be funny and still be vulnerable. And the thing that Zack Snyder did not understand is, at the core, Clark Kent is the man. Superman is the mask. He is human through and through by everything except for his genetic makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And
that to me is why we love Superman and Lois so much, because
Clark Kent nerd dad.
It absolutely highlights that fact right there. Clark is the man, is the character, and then the Superman is the costume he puts on to help save the world.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, so we have a sampling from naysayers across X, Reddit, and YouTube here. The first one. The real Superman doesn't need a bunch of robots to carry him over to a table to heal, and he doesn't whine like a little bitch when the sun hits him. Snyder's Superman literally took a nuke at point blank range and healed from the sun without any pain, without feeling any pain from its radiation, which is accurate to the comics. Gunn's mediocre interpretation of screaming in agony. James Gunn gets it, they said. He won't make it a stupid comedy, they said. They said he understood the assignment. That was the worst Superman clip I've ever seen. It's an utter joke, and it's all about crypto. And then... oh crap.
Then they go to the positives.
Yeah. So and they have like far more positives here, right? And it's like I didn't see this many positives on the internet. But all right, now some positives, which seems to be in the minority or majority. Real quick, let me pull this back up. Yeah, I mean, it didn't get downvoted. I mean, it's got downvotes, but not as many. All right, let's see here. How in the name of hell can anyone not like this preview? I'm convinced some people just like to rage hate. This looks so, quote, Superman, it's insane. That person must eat lead paint chips. By far,
they weren't loved as a child.
Right. By far and away, the best part of the trailer is that there's zero cynicism, zero moral grayness, zero self-loathing, zero sense that Superman is a vigilante. It's a romantic, idealistic, innocent version, which is pure awesome. What clip did you watch?
Where did you watch?
Yeah, this was written by someone who did not watch this.
NPC.
Oh,
Next.
yeah. I mean, yeah, next. Love the design of the Fortress of Solitude and the giant double doors with the House of L symbol that lights up. We have Crypto, Kellex, and the other service robots. This is very Silver Age and All-Star Superman. I fucking love it. Okay. Like, cool.
Again,
Good
like,
for you.
I didn't
Like,
have
good
any,
for you
I
for
didn't have
loving
any
it.
problem. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with the fortress. I like the
Yeah,
robots.
I
Okay,
too,
but
I too like the robots. I just think, Crypto is a less interesting version of the Flurkin. Morris, what was his name?
Goose.
Goose. I should know that. That's my wife. She's Goose. Anyway, the dog being a rambunctious little shit jumping all over you at the worst possible time is incredibly relatable. Also, good Lord, everything about the fortress looks great. This movie is Superman as fuck. Like, these are all, like you said, NPCs out here, like, writing this. So yeah, there's a bunch of division. There's going to be a ton of division. And so far we haven't heard anything about them having to go back and do major reshoots. I don't know if they've done test screenings or not. I know Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner looks like Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. Anthony Kerrigan's Metamorpho looks like one of the bad guys from The Last Starfighter who say ramming speed. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I just don't know. Oh, Edie Gathergy, however you say it, Mr. Terrific. The Arrow Mr. Terrific looks 5,000 times better than this Mr. Terrific.
How is that possible?
Because let's be honest, like there's a lot of costumes that Arrow just not like the Arrowverse in general just knocked out of the park.
Yeah,
now there's a lot that they
that's
didn't.
True.
Don't get me wrong.
That's
like,
a lot that they didn't.
But
too.
yeah. But yeah, so, here's the thing. At the end of the day, are we going to go see this movie? Yes. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, do I have a Superman license plate because we live in Ohio and I get to donate to the Siegel and Schuster Society every year? Yes. Yes, I do. Did I just buy a Green Lantern backpack to find out that they're coming out with a Superman backpack soon? And will I buy that one too? Yes. Yes, I will. So, Superman is not my absolute favorite. We all know who my absolute favorite is, but Superman is one of my favorite comic books, just one of my favorite fiction characters of all time. And I'm sick and tired of like not getting good Superman stuff on a consistent basis.
Yeah. I will say I did like the original, that teaser trailer that came out a few months ago. I still had reservations, and all this clip does is feed into those reservations.
Yeah. I have zero interest in David Corenswet as Superman. I will say in the bit at the end where they were doing like the clips, the Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl actually looks kind of cool. And it's like, cool, let's give me a Hawkgirl movie. Let's do that. Like, let's go and do a Hawkgirl movie and not release this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
yeah. This is maybe the second trailer is going to give us something that we haven't seen and get us excited. Like
I just think it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake to release 4 straight minutes in like there's no context to this, right? Like if this is how the movie opens, it's a bad sign.
Yeah, I want this to be good. I have a lot of concern. I have concerns, and this only, like I said, this only intensified those concerns. We'll see when we get the new trailer, but we'll see on July 11th when it comes out.
Yeah.
And but yes, this needs to knock it out of the park.
Yeah. Okay.
It can't. This can't be a double.
Yeah. No.
This has to be one of those like.
This can't even be,
home runs.
This can't even be a ground rule double, or this. You know what this needs to be? An in the park home run, because it needs to be something that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, and I don't know what we're gonna get.
This needs to be a 5-4-3 double play or triple play. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
which just happened. All right, we've been talking about this for almost a half hour. We need to move on.
Yes, we need to.
All right, Daredevil. Daredevil Born Again, season 1. We're talking episode 7, the art for art's sake, and episode 8, Isle of Joy. I enjoyed both of these episodes for different reasons, and I also was a little let down by both episodes for different reasons.
Same. Yeah. Same.
I will say my trend of like my ratings going up has continued. I did like the second one. I liked 8 better than 7. I think 5 and 6 together are a tremendous like single episode. Even though it's 2 episodes, but art for art's sake, we get a ton of Muse, which was really cool. And we learn it's Bastian, the kid who tracked down Kim, Daredevil's girlfriend and Kingpin's marriage counselor, to try and get help. You know, I really liked Kim. Or is it Kim? No, Kim is not the girlfriend.
Heather.
Thank you. Oh God. I really liked Heather in episode 7. Not so much in episode 8, but I really liked Heather in episode 7. It was really interesting. It was cool to see Muse. I liked how they were tracking down the people who it could be, because Muse's mask was, some special fabric. I always like when they do that in TV shows, because I don't think that happens in real life. I don't think they can be like, oh, this is a this is a special fabric that's only sold at 2 stores in all of the world, and one of them happens to be in New York, and it was sold to 3 people. Yeah. Like I don't believe that that's a thing that actually happens, but I do love that I can suspend my disbelief and watch that. And all of this. We got to see the anti-vigilante task force in action. That was pretty cool. Like what I liked about that is they didn't just rush in, shoot guns a-blazing, they like cleared the building as they were going up, like doing it like safely for them. And we'll juxtapose that to what they did in the next episode. But it was like, okay, they're like serious about this. They're not just like killers.
Right.
Which I agree.
And I agree with that. For this episode, and juxtapose with what we get into episode 8. But I did like everything you said. I like how we get to see Muse, we get to see who he is. We learn that this guy was a champion in Taekwondo, and so I like the build up,
because it was like when we were watching him fight Muse in his lair. It's like, how is this kid, like this guy, so good at fighting?
Yes.
Like, how is he able to do that?
That's what I thought too.
So
yeah, right.
What a Mary Sue. I will say one of the things is I have not read the Daredevil comics that have Muse in them. So I went and I did some research about Muse this week. I think Muse is a pretty great Daredevil villain, and he has the ability to basically like steal perception. And for someone like Daredevil, like he's almost nearly invisible to Matt.
Oh, kind of like Venom, or not Venom is to Spider-Man.
To Spider-Sense, yeah. But like, like Matt can't see him necessarily if he doesn't want to be seen. And I thought that was that's a really cool twist for a Daredevil villain, because he has to use his actual training and not like that he learned from Stick to fight someone like that. He has to like learn how to feel, and like he can't just rely on his heightened senses. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah,
and again, I've liked what we've seen, because I didn't know anything about the villain. I've seen the
Yeah.
villain in random things when I'm looking up other stuff I've seen because
Yeah.
like when I saw the face mat or the mask, I'm like, oh, I've seen that before,
I think he's
but
cool
I knew
looking
nothing
too.
about.
I
Yeah,
like the Muse
I
look.
yeah, I knew nothing about the character, but I liked what we got as far as how they introduced the character throughout
Hmm.
this series, this season, and you got little, kernels of stuff or morsels, and then you get to the backstory. That being said, I did not like how they wrote everything in this episode and how it deals with Muse.
Right. Um, this felt like a throwaway episode in a lot of ways, because of how it ended. Should we talk? Are we gonna spoil it?
You have your chance. I just say, we're about to spoil because we do
Three,
need to talk about the.
2, 1. I can't believe they killed Muse.
I thought
Just
that was a terrible decision.
plain and simple.
Terrible
Like,
decision.
let him escape, let him go, bring him back for subsequent seasons. Like, if we don't see him for the rest of the season, it's okay. But Heather killed him by shooting him till he was dead, and there was no more perforation devices left in her human hole puncher.
Yes, this is true.
So, but and this all happens, it was Muse had her, like he was draining her blood, he was getting ready to kill her. This was like her last stand kind of thing to help Matt. And then, she passes out. And Matt stabilizes her as the anti-vigilante task force is, coming in to get Matt, or to get Daredevil because they heard Daredevil was on the scene. And then it was pretty cool that, they lied and they said that the task force stopped Muse, instead of Heather and Daredevil. So
Mhm.
it's like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing here. It's like they're not just like after the vigilantes; they're going after the supers and all of that. I just thought it was a really good twist.
Yeah, it kind of, it's one of those things you see in other things, and but again, I thought like when we're talking about this episode, I did like how what little we got of the task force.
Hmm.
I was fine with it.
Yeah.
And again, pre this episode, I was fine with Heather.
Hmm.
My issues will come into the next episode, but like again, I really like Muse, what they did with Muse this season. I like the fight, the fact, and I'm glad we got more than one fight between
Yeah.
the two, and it wasn't just one fight and
Hmm.
then over. But killing this character like this, I think that was a huge mistake.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So then Blake threatens BB, gets her to remove mentions of Daredevil's involvement. Uh, and then Glenn is recovering and she says she heard Daredevil say her name. That was White Tiger's niece. And, so that was interesting. And then Vanessa, it seems like Vanessa's sending Luca to kill Kingpin. And it turns out no, it's a trap for them to kill Luca. It's a trap.
Yeah,
So that was
I
that.
thought
I
that
mean,
was yeah.
that was a nice twist. I mean, I didn't see it coming. It's like, oh God, Vanessa's like still at it. She hates him.
Yeah, I did think that was a nice little twist there because of how they built everything up, how they've played that tension between the two of them, and especially when you're talking about what is his name? Adam, the guys that she was having an affair with, and
Adam.
all. Yeah, yeah.
You're the one who always
So
does
yeah, I
that.
did. Yeah, I know, right? I did that last week.
Yeah. Adam. So, but yeah, so it's one of those things that you just you do. You watch. No, okay. So out of where are we here? So out of 5, when a muse is no longer useful, what do you give this one?
4 out of 5. I get a really solid episode, really good episode. I'm glad that this show has, continually progressively gotten better
Mm-hmm.
with each season, with each episode each
Yeah.
week. So 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I give it a 4.11. I actually put it's on par with episode 6 for me. But still, it's that trending in the right direction, going up, 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 up. But yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to Isle of Joy. So I will say and we'll get to it, but we get another MCU like father figure character in this episode,
Yeah.
which was funny. It was like, oh yeah, that guy was in Hawkeye. So
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out too, and as I couldn't place him, and then I kept thinking like, he was in another show?
well, when Matt walked by him, and I was like, I recognized him then, like because they had shown him a couple times.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, Jack Duquesne.
Duquesne.
Dude, we grew up in the '90s watching NCAA basketball. We're never gonna say Duquesne. It's Duquesne. We're Cincinnati people. We Xavier was a massive rival with Duquesne. So
Duquesne.
yes, I know it's Duquesne. I know that's how you say it.
It's more fun.
I'm more than
It's more
happy to
fun
say
saying it that way.
Yeah, but it's way more fun to say Duquesne. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. This one opens. They move Bullseye out of solitary to Gen Pop on Fisk's orders. And then Fisk just Adam's not dead. I totally thought he killed Adam.
Yeah, which, let's be honest, he probably would have had a brain bleed after getting hit 5 times by fists that size.
Yeah, right? But he shows Vanessa where Adam is, and then she pulls out a gun and shoots him in the freaking head.
Yeah. It felt like, a wedding renewal of vows type thing between the two of them, after everything. And that kind of plays later when she tells Dr. Glenn, she's like, yeah, I don't think your services are going to be required anymore.
Yeah. Right.
We figured it. We figured things out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He watched me murder my former lover.
Yeah.
And I did it without blinking an eye.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a cool way to start. And then our boy Blake just moving up in the world. He got promoted to be the deputy mayor of communications. He invites Glenn to the black and white ball. And that's when Matt realizes that Fisk is Heather's patient.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I thought she's been fine throughout this series for the most part. I have not had any issues with her at all. And okay, you can blame it on the trauma from what happened, but trying to say that you saved yourself when you were tied up, when you were getting your blood drained like a vampire was doing it, until Daredevil, blew through the window, that completely turned me off that character right there in that moment. It's like, I saved myself. Like, no, you did not save yourself. Also, even though you shot Muse, if Daredevil wasn't there, you would have bled out.
Right.
So
I'm reading the Dune expanded universe right now, right? And I'm in the which I've never done before. I've only read the original 6 novels. And like it's not great. None of it's great, but I actually am enjoying it. I'm obsessed with Vorian Atreides now. But they are talking about it's all about the Butlerian jihad and the Butlerian, essentially cult. And there's a lot of that. Like they're anti-computer, any kind of like computer, not just thinking machines or Cymex or things like that. But like she has this anti-vigilante view where it's like her views on the world, and like there's a lot of people drawing swastikas on Teslas right now who have this same thing. They refuse to see the world for what it is, and they only want to see the world through their hate.
Yeah.
And that's what she's doing, and that's what like I thought she knew Matt was Daredevil, but I guess she doesn't.
No,
I don't know why I thought that.
And this is
maybe because she knows in the comics, and
but you said you had an interesting.
Go ahead.
You had an interesting point when we were talking about the Superman stuff, and they were like, it's this or that, and talking about binary views of the world or anything. And there are things, yes, there are things that are good, yes or no, good or bad. Talking about comparing a serial killer with a vigilante who has only helped people and trying to say they're pretty much the same thing.
Well,
that's all sorts of crazy.
Matt has a pretty high body count. Because remember, the first season, he did just kill. That was his way of stopping people. He just killed them.
He didn't kill.
He killed a lot.
No, he didn't.
In the first season?
He never killed. No, he never killed. That's the one. Again, he crippled and, put people in traction.
Okay.
But that was the one thing he always that's what I remember in season 2 with the punch.
You're right.
Oh, he maimed maimed people like a motherfucker. He
maimed people like it was his job.
I mean, that's like just a couple episodes ago with the bank robbery.
Yeah.
He maimed a couple of those guys.
Yeah.
So
all right. So yeah, I'll retract that he killed people. But yeah, no, but Daredevil was a very violent quote unquote hero.
He's absolutely. Yes.
Just like Batman is a violent quote unquote hero. But yeah, it was really interesting to see that conversation, and she's like, "You're coming to this thing," and he's like, "I can't believe you're gonna go hang out with Fisk. Do you even know Fisk?" And
this is the other thing. She says when he asks her, like, how do you know this guy?
Yeah.
And then she's like, watch your tone. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that's Daredevil you're talking to. He should smack the taste out of your mouth.
It wasn't even like he was like yelling at you.
I know.
Those two moments for her, like just, and because what she said was that both Muse and Daredevil are scared little boys dressing up in a. It's that psychologist, arrogant speak, thinking you know something when you actually don't. And again, this is not just this character. This is a lot of people, like you were mentioning, in real life. We get this all the time. We see this all the time, whether it be X, YouTube, any video. Like we see it a lot. Like people think they know things when they really don't, and they have this binary view of things where instead of stepping back and again. Because this is something I've been, reading for a while, is like, are you going to react to something or are you going to respond to it?
Right.
Reaction is what an animal does. And yes, you can generally react to something because you're human. You make mistakes. We all do. But it takes a consciousness to respond, to see something that could get you emotional, step back and see, and like, okay, am I going to get colored by my emotions? Or am I going to logically think through this?
Right.
So I will give her a little bit of, from the standpoint of the trauma, she's not thinking rationally.
Right.
She can say she's a psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know which one she is. I don't know if she can, write prescriptions or not. But she is not looking at this logically, because anyone looking at that logic is, okay, you can say a vigilante is not by the law standards is not doing, is outside the confines of the law.
Right.
But considering that he's saved how many people over the years of being Daredevil or being Batman or whatnot, yes, very violent individuals. How many people are alive because of what they've done versus serial killers like Joker or Riddler or
8 to 10 people are alive because of what they did. And then probably 10, 15 million are dead because they never just ended the Joker or Kingpin or Bullseye.
And that's a very good one. That's one of those things that are That's
Venom.
one of those very good conversation pieces that I love talking about. It's like,
Yeah. So, I mean,
especially if you're
I
talking about the Injustice
oh,
world when Joker blows up
yeah.
Metropolis.
I mean, Superman does the right thing. He rips his heart out. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, you know, there was all that, and then at the black and white ball, sorry. Bullseye was moved to Gen Pop. Matt goes to visit him, and then smashes his face into a table.
I mean,
He's trying to find out. So I guess I skipped a thing. So Matt goes back to Josie's bar for the first time since Foggy died. And it's funny because we're finally dealing with what happened in the first episode with Foggy. Like actually Matt dealing with it, which was great. And he learns that Matt got their celebration whiskey the night before he was early before he was going to his court case the next day in the night he died. And so Matt thinks Kingpin hired Bullseye to kill Foggy. So he goes and then smashes his face into a table. Again, probably should have killed him, because if he didn't smash his face into a table, Bullseye wouldn't have incapacitated the guard with a loose tooth and then killed the guard and the doctor. So just,
right?
I mean, here we are.
That was a fumble.
That was not,
because you know why?
Not
Because
great.
Matt reacted.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't respond.
No.
He reacted.
So and then he escapes in a prison guard costume.
Yeah, which was okay.
So then we're back to the ball. And this is where we get Jack Duquesne, or Duquesne, if you will, who is the vigilante known as Swordsman. And Fisk blackmails Duquesne into investing in the Red Hook project. So that was pretty cool. There was a great scene with Blake and the other communications lady, or the other lady who works for Fisk in the mayor's office.
Kim, I think
Kim. That's
Kim.
Kim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he was like, I used to think that I was scared of you, and now I'm just not. So
very Jey Uso of him.
Dude, yeah, he was like he didn't even yeet. Not once.
Yeah.
So
nope.
Him or Jay. But that was pretty cool. And then BB figures out that Fisk was involved in Ben Ulrich's murder, which was pretty cool. And
well, I mean, she said she's because who is the cap? I was looking for the name of the
Gallo.
captain that.
Oh wait,
Gallo. Who is? Is it Gallo?
Wait, which captain? The one who tried to break up the fight with the guy who took the picture and the anti-vigilante task force.
The former police chief
Gallo.
or whatever.
Yeah, that's Gallo.
Yeah.
So
basically, he is. He's basically a puppet. That's all he is. He has, and we see that later in the episode when he accosts the task force for roughing up a reporter who snuck into the ball. That he has no power. He has no respect of anyone.
Yeah.
If anyone in the task force.
Well, probably not anyone on the police force at all. Certainly not from Fisk.
Yeah. Right.
So.
And you were talking about Fisk, blackmailing Duquesne. I mean, it looked like he was doing that a lot in that episode. We saw a lot of people go in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a really cool line too, because Blake was like, everybody wants to go in the room and have their time with the mayor, but everybody's also like pooping their pants trying to get away from him, or something crazy, something like pretty crass like that. But it was like the way Blake says it, it's just, I love that. Like he's like my favorite like secondary character this season.
I would say he's actually, and also from a standpoint of being written, I think he's written very well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because some of these other characters, again, not necessarily the acting, but there's only so much screen time to go around.
Mm-hmm.
So all these characters don't have, as much depth as you would probably like them to have.
Right.
And, as mentioned, one of the things I liked from the previous episode was how they handled the task force.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, they handled the task force. It comes across as if they're nothing but thugs.
Right.
When a few episodes ago, when he put it together, you had the one guy's story about a kid or about a guy dealing drugs to an 11-year-old kid or something like that, and you're like, okay, I see why he did what he did. Wasn't the right thing, but there was some nuance to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were kind of missing with that's just like, a bully being a bully and beating up a helpless reporter, throwing his hand in the air fryer,
Yeah.
or
because
I
he
didn't
was
like
he was like, this is assault, and then he's like, no, this is assault,
and Gallows just
Yeah.
stands there and
Yeah.
does nothing.
Right.
So again, I don't care if you stand for anything and you let the reporter should have gotten roughed up, but putting his hand in the in the air fryer or an air fryer, but in the fryer like that, and you do nothing, you just sit there and watch it, and it's not like he just put it in for a second. He like held it there for.
Yeah.
So we saw what Gallo is made of,
Right.
and then you're going back to Dex, and Dex comes in and he has a target in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's the hero in him, but Matt jumps in the
Dex,
way.
Matt. Yeah, I was like, Dex doesn't have
Yeah.
a hero in him.
Yeah. I will say this, and I guess this is what he did with Foggy too, because
Mm-hmm.
if he wanted to, Bullseye just goes one headshot, and there's nothing that Matt could have done.
Right.
Just like with Foggy. And again, I know that was played out for effect because it's a lot stronger seeing Foggy die
for
than it
an
would
entire
be
episode.
Yeah, for them, for instead of him getting bagged like Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that scene was like shocking. Like, oh, he goes out like that. Damn. But so Matt is lying on the floor, bleeding as everybody's running around, and that's where we end.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, this isn't. You did leave one thing out. So Matt figured out that it wasn't Fisk that had Foggy.
Oh, that's very important.
It was Vanessa, and it was great when he was like, "Does Fisk know what you did?" And she's like, "Does Heather know that you're Daredevil?" And it's like, yes.
Yes.
I just love that, like, because Matt's really bad at this. Like, he really is. He's not great at being a superhero. He keeps like backing himself, like, ever since the first episode. Like, he loves backing himself into corners. Like when he ended up in the basement of that dilapidated building, right? It's like, and then he had to fight his way up raid style. And it's like, come on, Matty. Like, let's just not.
I think part of his problem, not necessarily the whole thing, part of his problem is he has so much, the back and forth with himself.
Yeah.
He has all that. He has the guilt, but he wants to do the right thing.
He's Catholic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Catholic
like,
guilt.
let's just leave it at that. He's Catholic. Like, yeah. Like we talked to ourselves a certain way. Yeah, we talk ourselves into a lot of things.
He doesn't. He hasn't fully gotten that conviction of, you know what, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do. I mean, the first 3 seasons of the Netflix, it was all throughout. It was like that back and forth, which, again, kind of. So I think that's part of the reason why he, like you said, he's not as good as he should be.
Yeah.
Especially after doing it all this time.
So I just real quick sidebar. I agree with everything you just said, by the way. You know who plays Daniel Blake? The
Oh yeah.
actor.
What's his name's
Michael
son?
Gandolfini. Did we talk
Yeah,
about this? I feel like we haven't talked
I
about
think we
this.
talked about this. I
I
think we
just like,
mentioned it. I don't know if we talked about it on the show,
I don't
but
think we
we
did.
talked about
Like,
it.
that's pretty cool. Like, that's why he's
Yeah,
got so much freaking, like, to use the word the kids use these days, Riz. He's a Rizzler,
Riz.
if you will. It's because he's Tony Soprano's kid. He's like, hey, yo, I'm Tony
Yeah.
Soprano. What are you doing? Yeah.
Yep.
He played Tony Soprano. I still
Yeah,
haven't watched. I
and
haven't watched the Many Saints of Newark yet. I need to watch
I
that.
haven't watched that either.
I also need to watch the Deadwood movie.
I need to watch Deadwood.
Dude, you need
I
to watch
watched a couple episodes of season like when it first came out,
Okay,
and
hear
I
me
just
out.
lost
Let's
track.
just watch Deadwood for the next like after Daredevil's over, and each episode we'll just talk about an episode of Deadwood.
I'd be down for that.
So, or hear me out. We do the League and
I'd rather
talk
do
about.
Deadwood.
Well, hold on, and talk about how the League couldn't be made today, and how they would have done it differently if it was made today versus what they did 10 years ago. Anyway, but yeah. Oh, we should do. We should go through the HBO like prestige television and review each pilot. So like
Each
The Wire,
pilot.
The Sopranos, Oz,
Oh, okay.
Deadwood, Succession, all that stuff. That would be a
Pilot-a-palooza.
fun. That'd be a fun
Pilot
little.
Palooza.
Yeah, Pilot Palooza. Just like we should watch them all and then like give each one of them a 2-minute review. Anyway, all right. Daredevil. So out of 5 fingers in the grease, what do you give this one?
4.1. Again, like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. I love the trajectory of this show. I had my issues with the first couple episodes, but I've had my issues with every episode.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see it's like somebody doing a task like for the first time, episode 1, and then you can see them getting better and better as they as they get used to whatever the task is they're doing.
Right.
And that's all you can honestly, as much shit as we talked about MCU and Marvel shows, rightfully so, and Star Wars too.
Yeah.
It's cool to see something like this where I did not have high hopes for it, especially
Ooh,
reading about what
we had no hopes. Let's
like
they
everything
weren't- they
about
were
it,
there.
and then what it was coming from. Again, I will still say I mean, it's several tiers below the original.
Yeah. It's
But-
sanitized. It's a sanitized version of the original.
Yes, that's actually a very good way of putting it. But again, if somebody asked me, I was like, yeah, watch the first 3 seasons of Daredevil, but definitely watch this as well because it's a very solid take on the character.
Right. I mean,
Just
they
like you
had
said,
originally ordered like 20 plus episodes for this show.
Right.
And after 6 of them had been filmed, they're like, we're throwing all of this away and we're starting over.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm glad they did because I don't know what the hell it was that we would have gotten.
I mean,
if they
I
didn't do
assume it was going to be like the She-Hulk bullshit.
that.
So,
Anyway, so what did you give it?
I give it a 4.15. It's my highest score of the season. So I really liked where this episode took us. It's going to be really interesting to see how they wrap it up with next week's finale, since this was the penultimate episode.
There you go.
I knew you were waiting for it, and I figured I'd throw it in at the very end.
Well, Mr. Michael Cole said that last, Monday night too.
Yeah, but
Did you hear that when he said penultimate?
Yeah, Pat Clowney also said that WWE is where the best wrestle. So I don't like. Do we really care what the?
They just need to get him off there because
Yeah.
I do not like him on there.
No.
He doesn't bring anything to the show.
Clowney? No.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He at all.
He's
So.
he's bad at it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the finale, and I'll be looking forward to talking about the finale and talking about the Bondsman. Talk about a show that came out of the blue, wasn't expecting, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I'll probably actually rewatch, maybe not all of it, but
I mean,
some
they're
of the
short
episodes,
episodes.
this
They're
weekend.
not even a half hour.
Yeah,
Or
because
not. Yeah, some of them, like
I was
one of
about
them
to
was
say,
like 20 minutes.
yeah, I think is there. Yeah, there's. It's. I could watch that in a sitting.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the first
So,
4
yeah, I think
in
I'll
like a
rewatch it.
morning when I woke one morning when I woke up at 4:30 on Saturday morning, and you know, I was like, "Oh, I can't go to the gym till 6." So that's when I watched the first 4 episodes of The Bondsman, and I texted you later like, "I watched The Bondsman. I started watching The Bondsman." And I'm like,
I mean, I know I watched it for.
I'm like, I'm on episode
I watched
4,
it
and you're
before
like,
you,
I'm
and
on
you
episode
finished
1.
it before me. Yeah, I know. Well, I watched episode 1, and then I was watched a few of episode 2, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm on episode 6 or something." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? How did this happen?"
Because I literally took a whole morning and just watched it.
So yeah, I'll be excited. I'll be had a lot of fun talking about that as well.
Yeah.
And who knows, we might get some other superhero or entertainment stuff. We're not sure. We'll see what drops in the in the upcoming week.
Yeah, I mean something will drop, I'm sure. Well, there's a movie that The Amateur came out this weekend, maybe, or comes out this weekend.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all right. Well, if that's it, thank you all for listening. I really didn't think we were going to go more than 30 minutes today. And here we are, an hour and 6 minutes. It was a great chat. I hope you all enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. And we will see you all next week.
Later.
Bye.
Yeah, next week.
See ya.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Infamous Podcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.